Evening. If Keir Starmer was a dog, somebody would take him outside and shoot him. I'm not suggesting we should assassinate the Prime Minister, but I'm saying here's a man who is just not up to the job. His relaunch today was a damp squib, and that's being nice to him. He hasn't got a clue. He's so far out of his depth, he'll never get back to the shallow end. And he's pretty shallow anyway. In fact, I've walked in puddles deeper than Keir Starmer. He's an automaton. And today he was like an automaton or a Dalek that had run out of batteries. He was the opposite of the not the Zanussi, what is it? The Duracell bunny. His batteries had gone. This is a dead Prime Minister, a former Prime Minister. This Prime Minister is deceased, as Monty Python would say. He's done it in 6 months. I find it incredible. Oh, hi, by the way. It is the John Gaunt podcast. I hope you like the fact I've got some lights. You can actually see what I look like. Control yourselves, ladies. Oh, and you gentlemen, of course. I'm not doing a Greg. I'm just saying, whoa. Anyway, what was I up to? He is finished. He's reset, although he didn't like to use the word reset, but he was trying to reset the government today after only 6 months. And he seems to think it's all about presentation. Now, he is a useless presenter. He's got zero charisma. As I've said before, he's got the charisma of a stale poppadom. But it's not about presentation. The British public have seen through you, Keir Starmer. It was all smarm. It was all fur coats and no knickers. Everything was going to be wonderful. But you didn't tell us what you were going to do. That's what's got the goat of the British public. That's why you're the most unpopular Prime Minister on record. And why you will not survive. I mean, I didn't think you'd survive till Christmas. But you're not going to survive much past Christmas. And with the duds in the cabinet as well, who are all there on display today, the man who can't even eat a bacon sandwich, Bernie Winters, whatever his name is, Miliband, he was there. Although I see now it's not all about net zero and definitely doing it by 2030. They're moving the goalposts already. Keir Starmer said, here's my pledges, here's my missions. I tell you what you can do. You can judge us on this. Well, I'm afraid, Keir Starmer, we've already judged you. And you're an abject failure. And we'll come on to that in a moment. It's not about presentation. Although you didn't even present today correctly. You did it in a film studio. Well, that's kind of apt, really, because everything you came out with was pure fantasy. More coppers. It's now being said by people like Norman Brennan, one of the top kind of guys who comment on the police. He's been told these 3,000 extra officers, or 13,000, well, if you read it carefully, it's 13,000 extra police staff, including community staff and specials. It's not 13,000 new coppers, but he's now saying they're going to be redeployed from elsewhere. Everybody's going to know the name of their local copper. Well, on one level, that sounds great. I was brought up in a police house. My dad was a policeman. He was only ever a constable. There were 4 police houses, and we lived in one in Bulwer Road in Radford. If you never know where that is, it's in Coventry, and it's quite a rough area. It's even rougher nowadays. But my dad was a part of the community. And Mr. Keylock next door. And my mate Andy Johnson, who I was with in the cafe this morning, his dad was there. His dad was a sergeant. They were the kind of the glue that held the society of Radford together. And if you saw my dad walking the beat, or if you saw Andy's dad, or Paul Keylock's dad, you'd stop misbehaving. That's what the beat used to do. They used to have a police box, a TARDIS in a place called Jubilee Crescent. But people knew what my dad was. And of course, my dad would dish out the summary justice. You would get a smack across the chops with his leather gloves on a winter's day. He wasn't going to take any SH1T off you or off anyone. And you know what? I often say we don't want to return to those days, but I think we do. I think we need proper police officers. My dad didn't get into the Hull police, which is why he ended up in Coventry, because he was just, I think, half an inch too short. He had to be 6'1", I think, to join the Hull police, or Yorkshire police at the time. So he had a choice. He could have gone to Glasgow or he could have come to Coventry. He chose Coventry. That's how we ended up in Coventry, right? But now you can get in the police. If you're out of work because they're not doing Snow White this Christmas, you can get in, can't you? They'll let any old Tom, Dick and Abdul into the police. They've obviously lowered the standards and they've alienated themselves. I always remember my dad saying when they merged Coventry Police with Warwickshire, then Warwickshire with West Midlands, he said, that's the end. We'll lose control of the streets because we're not local anymore. He knew where the trouble was. He knew where the ne'er-do-wells were. And the shopkeepers and everybody else, when he walked round and had a cup of tea with them, they would, I guess, grasp people up because it was in everybody's interest to keep the community tight. So I don't believe Keir Starmer. He wasn't, I know his dad was a toolmaker, but he wasn't brought up in that environment. He doesn't know what a working class atmosphere is, a working class culture is, does he? He just hasn't got a clue. So if you believe 13,000 more coppers are going to be on the street, you should be looking up to the sky because pigs are flying. And that's not meant to be a pun, by the way. And then the other rubbish he came out with, and there's this milestone and this and that. There won't be milestones, there'll be millstones because we've judged you already, Keir. You've failed. You're a liar and you employ liars as well. We'll get on in a minute to Hague, not William Hague, by the way, but the other Hague, who thought it was okay to lose a phone and then find it again, but then not tell anybody about it. And now we're being told this peculiar circumstance happened more than once. And she thought she could be a minister of state. No, we've got Yvette Cooper. See, she's been all over the telly today talking about the police and the extra police they're going to put on the street. Too little, too late. But you go and have another soft interview with Twinkle Toes. And then he said something else then. Twinkle Toes himself, Ed Balls, your old man. This government, and I'll just need to stress here, I'm not saying the Tories would be better. They'd probably be worse. And for 14 years, they've ripped us off and abused us. But I don't see any upper sunlit hills or whatever it's called with Labour. A reset, normally you have a reset. Say your computer goes a knacker. You ring up the computer shop and they say, pull the plug out and put it in again, right? If I put the plug in again on Starmer, it'd be connected to a chair. Old Sparky. It might give him a little bit of voltage and get him moving and get him motivated. I didn't think anything could be worse than the way he presented the Christmas tree lights switch on in Downing Street. Oh, how wrong I was. That speech today was as dull as ditch water. And he is as well. So he's right. It's about presentation. He couldn't, today he's promised us the world, but he couldn't deliver a friggin' pizza. The man is toast. Mixing my food metaphors. He is, without a shadow of a doubt, a dead man walking. Do you agree with me? If you do, send me some messages on Twitter. It's John Gaunt, JONGAUNT. Get on Facebook and tell me, or send me an email. I love getting your emails. I'll get some ideas from the shows for that. It's john@johngaunt.com. And don't forget, that's where I am. And don't forget, I'm now also on YouTube. So if you're watching on the video today, you'll see I'm in glorious technical. I think I'm looking quite good, actually, for my age. Somebody's got to say it. But if you're listening on the audio version, and a lot of people now have the audio version for when they're walking the dog or when they're in the car, and then they like to watch the video later. Well, now at last you can see me in all my glory. We'll have the green screen up soon, and then you'll have proper sort of projection. I'm just at me mother-in-law's at the moment. I'm off to Oxford again tomorrow, so I don't know whether I'll even have a proper background like this. I've got a few lights. I've got a listener who's giving me some lights as well, so it's going to be fantastic. When I switch on my studio next week, the national grid had better be warned. Ed Miliband, stop chewing that bacon sandwich and make sure there's enough juice for when Gaunty switches on. And then I saw that Bridget Phillipson. I don't know what, she's education secretary, isn't she? And she was trying to come the big hard case and I'm in control. They're asking her questions on GB News about Keir's press conference. And she was saying, well, you know, this is where we're going. And they asked about energy and the fact now it isn't going to be 2030. And she was saying, well, we always said we'd need some diesel and petrol and fossil fuels. No, you didn't. You're lying. How do you know if a member of the Labour cabinet is lying? Their lips move. It's the old joke, isn't it? But it's absolutely true. They didn't give me any confidence today that they knew what they were doing or where they were going. And if they haven't given me confidence and you, they won't have given the markets confidence. They won't have given other countries confidence. He is finished. Keir Starmer is a dead man walking and he should go. He should resign now. Forget the reset. Just go. Although I don't know who you'd replace him with. What an absolute joke of a country we've become in just 6 months. Now, to be fair, the Tories laid the foundations. Careful, John, you're using Starmer's language. And they've just carried on with it, haven't they? Labour. And the whole thing about this speech today and the reset and what people want. I'll tell you what people want, Sir Keir. They do want tough policing. They do want more police. They do want more jobs. They want you to address the cost of living. They want their winter fuel allowance back, you thieving bastard. And they also want their kids to get a good education. They don't want their kids to learn about the 96 trillion different ways you can be. Oh, I'm a fridge. No, you're not. You're a boy. Shut up. Pull your trousers up. I'm talking about Greg now. And get on with your life and get educated and be polite to the teachers. The other thing they want, I'm sorry to say it, Keir, they want you to secure our borders. You mentioned immigration, but it was almost like in passing. Surely, if you wanted to do something today and say to the British public, you've got me wrong, you should have come on and said, look, I want to apologise about the winter fuel allowance and stealing that money from 10 million of the most vulnerable people in the country. I was wrong. I've been thinking about it and we're going to adjust it. Then you should have said the farmers. I'm wrong about farming and I think farmers should be able to keep their inheritance because they're not cash rich. They might be land rich, but they're not cash rich. He could also say, and by the way, we're not having twats putting stuff in our milk so that cows don't fart that might give us cancer. He could be listening to the public. But the one big subject that he has to listen to the public about is immigration. It's completely and utterly out of control. Let me tell you about what's happening in my neighbourhood, in Coventry and in Warwick. I was disgusted. I had a listener, my fan, sent me a thing and said, what do you think about the refugee asylum hotel in Warwick? I said, which one? Because I didn't know where he was talking about. I looked it up on the internet. This hotel, very nice hotel, sort of 4-star, 3-star, that kind of a place. I looked it up. It's about 120 something quid if you want to stay there. However, and I'll tell you where it is, you know, the Longbridge roundabout on the M40, near the M40, it's there. It used to be a Marriott and they changed the name to, it'll come back to me, another name, right? Now you wouldn't know what it was called. Why? Because they've covered up all the signs to the hotel, the road signs, and indeed they've covered up the actual sign outside the Marriott, right? They've covered it up. And then they've put up fencing with that green stuff on it so you can't look through. And if you wanted to go there, say for Christmas, because I went to 2 or 3 Christmas parties there over the past few years, and you can't go to a Christmas party now. You can't book a room there now, even if you wanted a room to go to the castle or, you know, see the fireworks or late night shopping in Warwick. That'll be a thrill. You can't do any of those things. Why? Because the Home Office have taken every single room. And who for? Oh, there's a surprise. 355, count them, 355 single men, asylum seekers, economic refugees, economic migrants, illegals, whatever you want to call them, are going into that hotel. They're going into that hotel. 9 months minimum. I think they're earning 9 billion or 9 million. It's a fortune the hotels are going to get for it. And all bookings have been cancelled. Now, where this is in Warwick, as I say, it's just on the outskirts of Warwick, near a big housing estate they built there. And I said to my wife, I said, listen, can you imagine if you bought a house there and then this happened? Even if you were all into inclusivity and, yeah, let them come in, yeah? You don't want 355 fighting age men all alone, all together in a hotel on your doorstep, do you? Also, where it is, there's nowhere for them to go. Oh, sorry, I'm wrong. Across the road, there's a drive-through McDonald's. That's it. There's nothing else. Otherwise, you'd have to walk into Warwick itself, which I wouldn't suggest is a great idea in terms of cheapness or whatever. These guys are going to be going stir crazy. It's ludicrous what they're doing. Yeah. So they're in there. 355. Christmas is cancelled in Warwick, right? Christmas is cancelled. And do you know what the worst thing about this is? I was looking it up on the internet. Evidently, the council and the Home Office, they believe they don't need to tell people, the residents. So that's why they cover up the signs. That's why you don't know it used to be a hotel. How's this right? What? They don't trust us. They think we might do something. They've got it wrong again. We're not the criminals. We're not the ones who've come into Britain via Dover. We're not the criminals. We're the flipping idiots who are paying for it. Now, I'm not just blaming Labour for this. The Tories, as I've said many times, used people coming on the boats, particularly, as a kind of bogeyman. They didn't get on top of the asylum claims. That's why there's this massive backlog. And you know what's coming down the line after Christmas? Keir Starmer will say, yeah, we've given an amnesty to 90. Remember this, mark this down, 94,000 people to clear the backlog. That's what he's going to do. He's got no choice, really, right? But it just can't be right that local residents aren't informed. And it's not just in Warwick. Yesterday, I had to take my wife to a hospital appointment, and it was over in Rugby. You know, like nowadays, it's never normally just your own local hospital. You just go where they want to. So we went over there, and service was brilliant. Everything's great. But as we're driving in to Rugby, we go past what used to be a fantastic hotel. I'll tell you how good this hotel is. My sister-in-law got married there. Very upmarket, very nice. There's no sign. This is before I found out about the Warwick Hotel. There's no sign. There's a driveway, and then there was a huge sign in the driveway, so I spotted it on the way back, which says private road, security in attendance or something like that. This hotel, for the last year, they closed down. They cancelled all the weddings. It's a big wedding venue. They closed down, got rid of all the weddings, let down all those couples, and it's stuffed full with asylum seekers, young men of fighting age. We drove on, and as you get to the outskirts of Rugby, right, going this back way, suddenly there's all these housing estates. They've built thousands and thousands of houses. Now, Starmer was going on about this today. There's a need for more houses. But where are the people working who are going to pay for it? None of this, in my head, adds up. And I thought the Rwanda scheme was rubbish. I thought it was cobblers. I thought it would never work. However, it did seem to have some effect as a deterrent. And other countries now are thinking of doing similar things, Italy and Spain and France. And I looked at Italy and Spain today and France. They put people up in hotels as well. So this is a problem that needs solving. When I was thinking about England, and I was thinking about when we were kids and the whole atlas was pink, which of course we're not immensely proud of, but, you know, we can take the brickbats for it and the bouquets. When we had our empire, we must have loads of places that we still own or control where we could send these people for them to get processed. That's what needs to happen. There does need to be a deterrent. And at the moment, Putting them in a 4-star hotel is not a bloody deterrent. I know we don't give them much money. They get about 30 quid, which again, I looked at this today. It's equivalent to what places like Germany and Italy give them. And I know there's been this controversy about a bus pass, but I wouldn't begrudge them a bus pass. But I just don't want them here. And I'm not a racist. I actually believe we should be a welcoming haven, but you've got to go through the process. You can't just get in a rubber dinghy in Calais and end up in the Warwick Hotel, 4-star, 125 quid a night hotel. No, you can't. Well, I forgot to tell you about the gym and everything else that's there and a sauna. No, you can't. With 3 meals a day, hot and cold running water. No. Where's the deterrent? And there isn't one. And then they go on about these people smugglers and they're dreadful people and we've got to smash the gangs. But Keir, you took away Rwanda. Now, as I've said, I didn't think Rwanda would work. It was too far. It was a bit kind of silly. It was a gimmick. However, I've got to say, it did seem to slow the boats down. There's nothing to slow them down now. And then I saw the pictures on the internet of the lads outside the hotel, bored out of their tits, sitting around. And you know what they say, idle hands, etc., etc. We've got to have a policy. We've got to have a number. Today, Keir Starmer refused to give a number. He said, oh, no, that's what the Tories did. And look, it just got carried away. Well, okay, what's your alternative? What's your alternative? How many are you going to let in, Keir? When will you say that enough is enough? It's a joke, Sir Keir. You're a joke. You're a dead man walking. I just can't believe that you're coming out with this rubbish. We want the boat stopped. We want these lads returned to their home country. That is not racist. What you're doing here by not addressing it, like today again, you haven't addressed the biggest concern of the British public at the moment, which is immigration, both legal and illegal. They want our government, whichever party it is, to get on top of it. Yes, they want quotas. They want a number to judge you by, but you won't give a number, Keir. I wonder why not. Get a bloody grip. But in fact, I don't know why I'm saying this. I'm wasting my breath. You've already lost. You've already lost. And it's not about communication because you haven't got a policy that works, that stands up. So today he's gone about all these new things they're going to do and these pledges. I don't believe any of it. You're giving our country away. The biggest issue at the moment in this country is immigration. And then today, and I wonder if there's going to be any brave MPs. I put a little thing up on Twitter earlier. The most popular name in Britain for boys now, for new babies, is Muhammad. And I asked an open-ended question, and I'm asking it again. Is that something to be concerned about? What it suggests, of course, is that people of a Muslim background, who I suggest are the people who use the name Muhammad in all its different, in fact, they only did it in one spelling, but if you add all the spellings together, it's bigger now than the quote was bigger than Noah. I don't really know anyone called Noah, but anyway, the Noah Claypole. What was that in? Oh, Ghost Hunters. Do you remember Ghost Hunters? But I don't know people who are called Noah, so I thought that's a bit an odd thing to compare it to. I suppose it's because it's religious, but I think there should be a concern that it's now the most popular name. It's the religion that is growing. We had an MP. You mentioned this, Keir. You had an MP who said he wanted a blasphemy law. If people take holy books the wrong way. Well, we didn't give a shit about Dave Allen doing that, did we? We all thought it was funny. Even my Catholic mates thought it was hilarious. Even my Catholic mates' mums thought he was funny. Try and do that with the Muslim faith. Try and do that. So what this Muslim MP was saying was he wanted a blasphemy law for the Muslim religion. Well, they've almost got it because we've got 2-tier police and a 2-tier justice system. Look at the way the riots were handled compared to the 2 yobbos. Well, they look like yobbos to me. Maybe they're not. The 2 yobbos in Manchester airport who still haven't gone before 12 good men in true. Why? Is that two-tier justice? Is that two-tier society? What is it? And why do we need to have a kind of blasphemy law for the Quran? I think the Bible is rubbish. Absolute rubbish, because I'm not a Christian. I was brought up one. And no doubt I'll get a thunderbolt in a moment and get struck dead. But there we are. I'll take that risk. But if you want to believe in the Bible, that's up to you. As Johnny Rotten said, Bible's full of libels or whatever it was. You get on with your religion. I haven't got a problem. But I've got the same feeling towards the Quran. I remember years ago, I think I was in BBC London. Some bloke said, "Oh, John, I just think you're a bit he was a Muslim himself. And he was a lovely guy. But he said, I think you're just a bit misguided and a bit ill-educated. I said, "Oh, yeah, what's that?" "Because you're always slagging off the Quran. Have you ever read it?" I said, "No." He said, "Well, I've bought you a copy. I've dropped it off at reception." I said, "Yeah." He said, "Will you read it now?" I said, "No." "Why not?" Because I don't need to be educated in that. I'm not interested. I know Tommy Robinson can quote bits. I don't want to quote bits from it. I don't want to fill my brain with fairy tales. That's why I don't know anything about the Jewish book or the Bible, really. I know the bits in the Bible that we got rammed down our throats when we were kids. But if you want to be a Muslim, a Jew, or whatever, get on with it. But don't bring it into civil discourse. And please don't think we're going to have a blasphemy law by the back door for Muslims. Although Sir Keir, when he answered that question in Parliament, he hedged his bets. Why? Well, because several MPs lost their seats to Muslim activists. And Jess Phillips, for example, in Birmingham, she nearly lost because a Muslim stood up against her. I don't want sectarianism, religious sectarianism, to come into play in England. Do you? No. Have your religion. Keep it out of politics. That's why I'd get rid of the bishop, especially now after the Archbishop of Canterbury was a clear nonce protector. I don't want the archbishops to do with our law. They shouldn't be in the House of Lords. But we don't want to turn the clock back and not be able to say, I think the Quran's crap, or I think the Bible's crap, or it's all made up fairy tales, or what's this about Muhammad? And if you don't want to have an image of Muhammad, fair enough, on you go. But if somebody else does who's not a Muslim, I don't see why that means the Batley school teacher is still in hiding 4 years after it happened. And when I talk about these people coming in, the majority of them are Muslim because of the countries they're coming from. So it's not racist. We just got to get a grip. And that's what Sir Keir could have done today. He could have talked about the pensions. He could have talked about the invasion. He could have talked about controlling our borders. He did talk a bit about the police. The building the houses is a laudable aim, but it ain't going to happen, is it? It isn't going to happen. And then he's got all these things. He says, these targets, and he had all this jargon. He was like Ricky Gervais on Speed in the office, and everyone's sniggering. That's a lot of bollocks. It ain't going to happen. It ain't going to happen, Sir Keir. And that's why I say he's already lost the dressing room being us, the British people. He's finished. He's a dead man walking. And the sooner he goes, the better. But who would replace him? I don't know. Ed Miliband? I don't think so. Somebody from the JAG, perhaps, make it nice and woke for everyone. And let's go back to that Hague woman and the mystery of the telephone. How did she get into the cabinet? What is going on, Sir Keir? Get a grip. Now, I've been promising you the last few days that I would say thank you to everyone who's been donating, been buying me a coffee. And so I do want to try and do some of those today. So bear with me on that, and I'll give you the names in a couple of moments. If you want to sponsor me, please do so. Very simple. You just go to buymeacoffee.com. It's down here on the screen if you're watching on YouTube. buymeacoffee.com/John Gaunt. And it's a £5 upwards. Some people do 15 quid. Some people have done more than that. Some people have done 10 coffees. I will tell you the truth. I've not had any donations for 2 or 3 days, which I found really odd because I've been doing more podcasts. Maybe that's the reason. Oh, we're not funding him. He's rubbish. Well, if you think I'm rubbish, fine. But if you think I'm any good and you enjoy what I say, or it gets you thinking, gets you arguing, gets your blood pressure up, that's worth a £5 of anybody's money. isn't it? And at least I'm not talking about Greg Wallace and getting all excited about that. Let me, Jake, thank you to Ian, Meaty C, Bazza, Leslie Clark. There's a few of these that are anonymous, so I can't read out the names. Adam C, he's also the man who's donated my lights. Kieran Guinness, thank you, Kieran. Jim Gwillam, thank you as well for your donation. It's all much appreciated. And I hope now you can see, look, I got the light, so it's looking better. Paul Dodson, he did 3. Thank you, my friend. Thomas Ashfield, he did 1. Graham Erdley, good old friend of mine from the Bruges Group, 3 coffees. Thank you, Graham. Where are we going next? Let's go to Kevin Cunning. He's 15 there, but he's done some more before. Peter Williams, Steve Witcher, thank you very much indeed. Bert Routledge, Mark Ingram, Radio Biff Bob, Ian Purvis, he's come in several times. Paul Malloy, a few more anonymous ones. Neil Carter, thank you. Warren Howard, thank you very much indeed. Of course, Wojciech Kareski, my oldest fan, he came in and he bought £100. £100. 20 coffees. Stuart Johnson, Grant, Heather Davidson, she's a wonderful woman, does a lot for culture and community in Coventry. She's come in twice at 15. Thank you. Andy George, Annie O'Sullivan, and Greg. That's all I can read out for now. I will read out more next time. And now that I've got my ticker tape, if you're not watching on YouTube, you're missing out. I'll get my ticker tape going and I will input all the names over the weekend so you can see your name on the screen as well. I just want to say thank you. I'm back. And I'm feeling great, and especially now I can see myself on screen. This will only get better. I've got some more lights coming, got my green screen going up, and I've told you I'm hoping to move to a studio after Christmas, and then that will open the floodgates. Then we'll be doing interviews, then with people all around the globe. We will also be doing live shows on YouTube. So you need to get on YouTube now and subscribe. It's free. It's John Gaunt TV. Just look for John Gaunt TV and there's a subscribe button on all of the videos. Press that and you'll be subscribed and you won't miss a thing. It's great to be back. And I'm feeling, I was listening to those idiots talking about unemployment and these right wingers saying, oh, you know, that can't be a reason, you know, being depressed. And I used to be like that. But the truth is when you have had long-term illness and you lose your confidence, I got over the physical thing much quicker than I got over the confidence thing. In fact, I was out with one of my best mates, my oldest mates last night, Dave. And he said, why haven't you spoken to somebody, this other person we know, and asked him to help you fund the podcast? He said, what, are you scared of being rejected? How old are you, Gaunty? And he had a right pop at me. And he was right. But I am, because my confidence has gone. It's coming back every day. It's getting better. But being unemployed or being, you know, being this age and not having a job, I know what that feels like. I know what that feels like. So don't just use cliches to write these people off. And I went and did shit jobs. I wasn't very good at them. I delivered ready meals to kill people. I worked in a posh supermarket. And what I did something else. I worked in a call centre. Did I ever tell you about when I applied for a job with the Dole office? Yeah, the Dole office said, why don't you apply for the Department of Work and Pensions? I said, how much is the money? They told me 30 odd grand. I said, oh, I'll have a go at that. It took weeks, months, 3 months before they rejected me. I got through all the different stages, the psycho tests and all that. And then the interview. And then I think I know what happened. The woman said, do you do blogs? I said, no. She says, do you make podcasts? I said, yes, occasionally. Did you used to be on the radio? Yeah. And then she just looked at me as if to say, well, that's why you've not got a job. They didn't want to give me a job because they think I'm a right-wing nutter. They'd give a left-wing nutter a job, but not me. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. I was well overqualified. I quite fancied working at the DWP, helping people get work. I think I'd be quite good at that. But I didn't get it. Makes you wonder about what's happening in this great country of ours, doesn't it? Maybe I should have had my rainbow lanyard on, huh? Maybe I'll get shot down in flames for saying that. Who knows? Anyway, if you want to help me, www.buymeacoffee.com/John Gaunt. Hope you enjoyed the show. Please tell me, was the video better? The video quality, not what I'm saying, but the actual picture. I think it is. So thanks for that as well. Thanks a lot for watching and listening. Get subscribed to my YouTube channel. And if you can afford a £5, please do so. let's keep this going. We're getting somewhere with this. We're getting somewhere. And I'm just loving being able to speak my mind. Thanks a lot. If you got kids, give them a kiss, give them a hug. Hey, hey, hey. Don't forget to tell them you love them. See ya.